Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Awakened Intuition. My name is Steve, and I am here to help you through some stuff that's going on in your life in this spiritual awakening. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everybody who's been watching and commenting on the videos. It means a lot to me, and I'm very thankful that people find my perspective to be helpful to them going through things that I had went through personally. So today I want to talk about synchronicity real quick, and that entails the good synchronicities and the negative ones. Well, first let's start off like this. What is a synchronicity? Well, essentially, it's two unconnected events, seemingly unconnected, that become connected through your conscious expansion and awareness. Let me give you a really good example of how a major synchronicity played out for me, a major one. So, when I was a kid, right, a young kid, probably like 4, 5, 6 years old, I loved collecting rocks. I was fascinated by it. And whenever I was traveling with my family or wherever we were going, I would always go to shops and get rocks or find rocks and put them in this collectible box, and that was about it. So I got older, didn't see the rocks for the longest time, right? And you probably understand where this is going. I had my spiritual awakening about maybe 2 years later. The information came to me about crystals and stones and how they can benefit your meditation and daily life. And actually, this is not something that I knew about at the time, so it was brand new information to me, and I thought to myself, man, I really gotta buy some of these. How am I supposed to know which one's right for me? Well, I went home for winter break from college, and I'm sitting in my room, and then it hit me. Those stones you collected. Turns out a lot of them that I got were ones that I really wanted to buy anyway online. So it was two totally random, unconnected events in my lifespan that locked into place. And I actually still have a lot of the stones out. I have this like kind of, not altar, but it's like a shrine where I keep my mala beads and my Buddha statue and all this stuff, and I have my stones in it, so I still have them. It's really cool how it works out. Now, synchronicity can play out in a lot of different ways, and they don't have to be spanned out over many years like that story that I just told you. Synchronicities can take place where you're making a video that you want to make, and you're editing it, and then you look over at the clock and it's 3:33. Or, you're going for a run and you really want to get that good time, and you do good, you have a great workout, and then you look at the clock and it's 5:55. I have another example about number synchronicities from my personal life. So I'm the type of person, honestly, where if I'm doing something, I'm going to commit to it 110%, and I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it, right? So I was working on my master's program for, my master's degree about 1.5 years ago, and I was doing a major that I just didn't really like. It was music history. I thought it was going to be really cool for me, but it just wasn't a match, It was cool, but it just wasn't a match. So, but I've never actually made a huge life decision like that to just up and out of there. So I was debating on switching my major back to what I normally do, which is teaching, essentially. And it was a hard, stressful 2 weeks because I didn't know what to do. Well, I called my mom, and of course they wanted me to stick with what I was doing because obviously they don't want me to give up. But I was on the phone, and I talked about how I felt for about like a half an hour, and I hung up the phone, and I was so frustrated. And then I looked at my phone, and it was 1, 2, 3, 4, a sign that usually means you're on the right path. Trust your gut feeling. You're going the right way. 1, 2, 3, 4. I see it a lot. So if you're watching a video like this, you probably see the numbers a lot, right? Now, this has to play out with the state of consciousness that we're in. So for example, if you're in a really good vibrational state and you're doing something, excuse me, by the way, I have the sniffles, and you're doing something great that you like, you're going to basically be attracting these positive synchronicities that are going to benefit your life and show you, hey, this is the right thing. Now, on the flip side of the coin, there are also negative synchronicities, and I have actually experienced a couple of these frequently. So there seems to be this synchronicity that always comes up that I'm going to die. And that might sound a bit extreme, but I always get the signs that I'm going to die. Like something's going to happen and I'm going to die. Now, of course, no time limit on this earthly plane is guaranteed, obviously. There is no guarantee of when I'm going to go or not. But I nonetheless get these signs that are like, yo, you're going to die, dude. I'll give you a more clear-cut example. So I had mentioned in one of my Ascension Symptom videos that sometimes when I smoke weed, I get anxious and I get really upset and stressed out. Like my vibration is all out of whack, okay? Well, every time I do this, somehow a synchronicity for being alone or dying or something comes up. And it manifests in weird ways. I'll give you 2 random examples. we were playing a game, Cards Against Humanity. It's a silly game. You probably know what it is. And we all finished the game. Everybody packed the cards up and put them away. Everybody went home and went to bed. And there I was on the couch. And somebody left a single card out on the table face down. And I flipped it over and it said drinking alone. And it was just me. And I was, not exactly sober. And I was like, whoa, how did that just happen to me, right? Another one was, I'm not a huge pothead, but obviously not anymore because it makes me anxious. But somebody wanted to smoke one time recently. And they had a bowl that you spoke out of, and essentially they pulled it out and said, this is not my bowl. It was given to me by someone. I said, oh, you got it for free. Cool. Well, of course, it's a giant Grim Reaper skull head on the bowl, which is another funny thing because it's always coming up, and I thought, oh no, smoking's going to be the death of me. One time I was there, and someone said, you're going to have a heart attack and die, which is really messed up, but I actually have a slight heart problem. It's not a big deal, but there's one of my valves is like a little weird, and I was like, oh God. So what does this mean, right? I mean, really, what are we talking about here? We're talking about negative subconscious thoughts being reflected back to you in your own reality. Okay, let me say that again. A negative subconscious thought being reflected back to you in your reality. It doesn't mean you're going to die. It means that you're afraid of dying. It could also mean that there is a part of you that is dying symbolically. It's like when people get the tarot cards done and they pull out death and they go, oh no, someone's going to die in my family. I'm going to die. Not true. Death in symbolic terms and its way of going by and its signs, death is not always a bad thing. It's ego death. It's the dissolving of egotistical centered thinking. That's all it is, really. I don't think it means that you're going to die per se. So if you're having negative synchronicities, you have to understand that it's most likely a deeply rooted subconscious issue that you're not solving, and then it is the reflection of reality. Because again, I've talked about this in a quick law of attraction video, but the subconscious mind is always working. It's always working, and it's always thinking. And it thinks based off of what we've learned through trauma, through repetition, through good, through bad, whatever it may be. So now, you are on a spiritual journey, okay? And you get these great spiritual signs. You see numbers, you see the things going on. You have people giving you the right information at the right time. That's a great feeling. But as you become more receptive to those things, you also become more receptive to the negative synchronicities. And it's just a duality. And you have to essentially purge out the negative things from deep within the subconscious level to fix the reflection of your reality. And I think this has to do, not saying you have to do any plant medicine or any like hallucinogens, but why do you think that people who do like ayahuasca or DMT or shrooms or whatever, they suddenly release blockages and they release tension? That's ego dissolving, right? Now, in our normal life, I don't think we're always so perceptive to that level of awareness. It literally shoots us up and allows us to tap into more cosmic reality. And it's not to say we can achieve that normally, but it is much more difficult to achieve it normally without the assistance of something else. Put it into perspective. When I did my first acid trip, to open up a bit, the negative synchronicities were through the roof. And it was a terrible experience for me at first. Sorry, my throat. At first, but that what actually happened afterwards was it ended up leading me down a good path, and it allowed me to purge out these negative emotions. Now again, I am not condoning that anybody does hallucinogens, anybody does any drugs. I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying, in my personal experience of how this has played out for me, these are my experiences and this is my perspective on the matter. Again, you can remove negative subconscious blocks without those things through repetition, emotion, visualization, positive affirmations. There are plenty of ways to remove the negative blocks, but that's also a way too. And to deny it is not acceptable in my opinion. I think that there are many ways. There are many teachers, many ways to essentially remove a negative block and a negative synchronicity that keeps coming up. Similar thing also happened where, you ever have that situation where you are going to go into a new relationship or something like it, and all of these old people keep coming up in your life out of nowhere, And you're like, what is going on here? Actually, it played out for a funny way for me, because I sometimes get insecure of my looks, which is just stupid because I shouldn't. It's like a thing that doesn't really matter, honestly. But I do sometimes. And, this was a thing that's been in my mind, my subconscious mind, for basically ever. Ever since I was in like early puberty, it's been in my mind forever, that level of insecurity. Well, when I was getting older, probably now about a year ago, so fast forward to last year, from my youth to then, I went to a party with a bunch of people from my past. Now, mind you, I went away to school for years. So there are people I hadn't seen at this point probably in like 5 or 6 years. And I mean, basically everyone. I completely moved away. So I come home and we're at this party and there's a bunch of people from my past. And I start feeling really weird, and like everyone keeps talking about how different I was and how different I was and how different I looked, and it made me feel really uncomfortable. So why are all these random ass things being synchronistic for me at this point in my life? It's because I was raising my awareness. Okay, I gained a higher understanding of good synchronicities, and of course gained awareness to darker things within myself. And it's just a complete repeating cycle of, here's some new good things for you. Okay, now these new old bad things are going to come up. We cannot allow these chains to hold us down and restrict us from running free. Therefore, we will keep them coming into your life. We, our higher self, will keep them coming into your life until you figure out the best way to remove them personally to you, which again includes subconscious reprogramming. Look it up. There's lots of ways, but of course, visualization, repetition, affirmation, emotion, right? You can do a plant medicine or something like it to dissolve the ego and allow you to see clearly. There are lots of ways, but I guess I wanted to talk about in general synchronicities, what they mean, how they can be really good, and if you're having bad ones, how to fix them. And I hope that helps you, because that's something that I struggled with for a long time. I can't tell you how many times I said, I'm gonna die, this thing keeps coming up. It's not gonna happen. And in fact, it happened to me last night. It's not gonna happen to you. Here I am, alive and well, and I'm talking to you despite my snuffly, stiffly nose. Okay, so that's basically the gist of what I wanted to talk about. Thank you for coming on. We have almost 25 subscribers. I'm very, very, very blessed to say that, even though it doesn't sound like a lot to some people maybe. I'm thankful nonetheless. I'm thankful for people helping themselves out, and I'm thankful for them listening to what I have to say. So leave a comment, like the video, hit the bell, and let me know what's going on, and I will be around. So see you soon. See you on the next video. Peace.